What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Johnny. Back in here with one more reaction video, ladies and gentlemen. And today I have a video from a guy who talks like he should be on Storage Wars, but he's one of the most intellectual men we have on the earth today, Mr. Larry Elder. And I believe in this video he's at Michigan University, and he's speaking to a gentleman that has a flawed view on life, and he sets him straight, which a lot of individuals do. And after this video, I have an article from Fox News that's going to tie all of this together. So if you like what you hear in this video, share this thing far and wide.
You say racism is not alive today, but
I didn't say that. You said that.
Okay, what did you say?
Racism is no longer a major problem in America.
Well, let me just ask the crowd, how many in the crowd would say that there's something from their childhood that's still affecting them today in terms of how you behave from your childhood? Anything?
I would say
let's be honest, right?
100%.
100%,
Yeah.
correct, right?
Of course.
Okay, so in the case of Black people, if you look at 400 years of abuse.
You're not 400 years old, sir.
No. I said Black people.
You're not 400 years old. Black people.
I'm not saying me. I'm saying Black people.
Nobody Black is 400 years old.
And when you talk in the mass of Black people, as the gentleman is doing, you dismiss individual responsibility. My grandmother had 3 kids by 3 different men and went on to get married to a 4th man. They owned a house. They owned an RV. They traveled around to, I think, 46 of the 50 states. And my grandma sent me a postcard from every state. One of the gentlemen that had a baby with my grandma that they split, my auntie's daddy, he owned his own house, like 4 cars. And when he passed away, he left his house to my father. He had got a garden in the back and everything. So I hear the narrative of 400 years of oppression. I've heard that my whole life. But in my individual family, those men owned homes. Those men owned land. They had a bunch of money stuffed in their mattresses. And I'm sure I'm not the only one who can say they got grandfathers that moved that way. And on the other side of that argument to say 400 years of oppression, I don't know anyone who's had a good childhood. Like, you can let me know in the comments below if you know someone who grew up and had a perfect childhood. But everybody that I know went through something, whether it was a divorce or didn't know their daddy or their grandma died or their cat died, or everyone has been through something. And once you become 18, it's your responsibility to heal yourself. I'm a big believer that the key to happiness is forgiving your parents for what they did or did not do. Once you're grown, it's up to you to create the life you want. Don't push off that responsibility. You have the power to be happy. You have the power to heal yourself.
Okay, well, the history of slavery, 400 years old, that's just a piece of it. Had to endure the trauma, and now we're still here today. My point is that you say racism is not alive today, but
I didn't say that. You said that.
Okay, what did you say?
Racism is no longer a major problem in America.
Correct.
It's no longer powerful enough to hold anybody back that's willing to work hard and follow the 4 or 5 things I just now mentioned. I never said racism is gone.
I agree with that, but the effects of racism are still very much alive. The effects, and effects will last generations upon generations.
That's nonsense. 1940, before the Civil Rights Act was passed, before the Voting Rights Act was passed, open housing was passed, 87% of Blacks lived below the federally defined level of poverty. 1960, 20 years later, that number had declined to 47%, a 40-point drop from 1940 to 1960, the greatest 20-year period of economic expansion for Blacks in American history, before any of the civil rights stuff had happened. The big problem, sir, is a breakdown.
2 books that should be dropped right there is The Miseducation of the Negro by Carter G. Woodson and Color, Communism, and Common Sense by Manning Johnson.
Of the Black family. Look at a graph on how much time a Black student spends studying every night versus a Hispanic student versus a white student versus an Asian American student. It's night and day. You don't work hard, you don't embrace education, you're going to have a bad output. The question is, why are we having a bad output? And the answer is, unless there's somebody in the home to make sure you have done your homework and you've gone to bed on time and you've been housed and clothed and fed properly, unless you have at least somebody like that in the house, you're toast. And unfortunately, so many Black people do not have that. And we ought to be talking about why.
I completely agree. Completely agree.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
God bless.
Man, look here. So we're gonna link it all together now, because you hear the argument that it's systematic racism is the issue with what's going on with the Black community. And as Larry Elder just pointed out, that the broken family is the biggest issue. And I got an article from Fox News. This is just from a couple of days ago. And this is a pastor in Chicago. And he says that the gun violence is driven by poverty. Now, the reason that I don't want to speak in general, but I got to push back against this narrative is because I grew up in poverty. But I had a daddy. See, I never thought it was my job to go out and shoot somebody or rob somebody to get some money, to take care of mama, to pay the light bill. It was because I had a daddy. That if money was tight, my daddy could go make some money and get some food in the house. My daddy could go to the plasma center. We have gotten so used to children growing up in single-parent homes that we think everything else is the issue for the way the youth acts. We have been conditioned to think it's normal for young Black children to grow up with just a mama. And to say it's because of racism, it's because of this, it's because of that. Nah. It's because he didn't have a daddy to show him how to be a man on a daily basis. My father wasn't the best man, but I still saw how to be a man on an everyday basis. No one can downplay the importance of living in a home with two parents. Because we didn't have a lot of money. We was on Section 8. But when I got out of school in the evening, Mama was waiting on me to walk home. So I always knew I was loved. These children in Chicago, Mama at work. Mama got 2-3 jobs. And when Mama get off, Mama trying to get a man. So she on IG. She going to the club. She living her best life, taking trips, city girl summer, all that. So who's raising the kids? The rap music, the social media, the tablets. That's why having a present parent is so important. It ties together with everything Larry Elder is saying. You can say that racism and 400 years of oppression are the reason the individuals are, but I can show you Black kids who went to Harvard, that come from a 2-parent household. Everyone isn't in poverty, but the ones that are in poverty, look at the way they're living. Look at the white individuals that are in poverty. Family structure is really, really important. And over the last 10 to 20 years, America has pushed family structure to the side. But if you try to build a house with a weak foundation, it's just going to crumble. And the problem with gun violence is lack of families. It's lack of male role models. Until you acknowledge that, you're just going to keep watching these cities burn and keep watching the homicide rates get higher and higher and higher. But I do not think that the effects of racism are what is causing gun violence. I don't believe it's poverty. In individual circumstances, and with the ignorant mindset, and the definition of ignorant is lack of knowledge, that if you think the quickest way to get some money is to use a gun. But if you read the book, Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill, he speaks of that. That's the problem with the youth, is they don't understand how fast negative seeds manifest. But they say slow and steady wins the race. But family structure is something that got to be pushed back to the forefront. It has to be, especially if you want to fix not just Black America, but America in general. Because white boys are growing up without their daddies as well. These women are divorcing men like 90 going north and living their best life. And I say it all the time. I wouldn't be the man I am without my father. He ain't ever been rich. Well, I'm gonna make him rich though. When I get paid, I'm gonna look out for my daddy. Everybody said they want to grow up and buy their mama a house. I want to buy my daddy a house because I know the sacrifice that he made raising me into a man. Forever grateful for him. Let me know your comments below. Do you agree with Larry Elder, or do you agree with the gentleman that racism and 400 years of oppression is the issue of why we have so much violence and why we have so much poverty? I like the way the discussion went though. He accepted what Larry said. It wasn't negative. It didn't get a aha gotcha moment. And when we can have mature conversations, as I say, man, we're not as divided as it seems. Until next time, we out.